Welcome to this edition of the Million Dollar Mastermind podcast. This is where we pick the brains of high achievers from all walks of life and get their hard-earned, real-world insights on winning. I'm your host, Larry Weidel.
Yeah. And that goes into, reinforces what people heard 1,000 times. This is one of the 100 million reasons why you don't quit. The perfect the perfect reaction is to look for the other side of it, because you are going to have things like that. None of us go through life. We're not talking about some theoretical thing that happens to a certain small percentage of the population where they go through these emotional things. No, we're all going to deal with it. And at my stage, where I have absolutely nothing to worry about, everything is fantastic by the world standards, everything. You still wake up. I'll still wake up in the middle of the night and the thought will come up. Yeah, but what if this happens?
Sure.
What if so-and-so? What if that is like, go away? I don't need, but if they blindside you, like, you start worrying about something irrational, it's like, and you get all, and now you can't go to sleep and like, wait a minute, and you've got to put those, you got to talk yourself back from those things,
Absolutely. It is.
Yeah.
I really think the entrepreneur game is mindset.
Yeah. But you're never going to reach the point where these ideas can't jump in your head. Negative things, this, that, and the other. So-and-so said, it's as common as going into a party and everybody here knows everybody else. And then I'm the only one who doesn't,
Yeah.
I'm the I'm the fish out of water here, And
That's right.
And they're all feeling the same way.
I'll tell you what, Larry, I call them mind fields, MINDFIELDS, meaning that a minefield, you step on a place and you blow yourself up. Well, the entrepreneur journey, the minefield is BS, belief system. I've heard that before, and it truly is. You're not gonna outperform your self-image, and so if you do think about the struggle when I was a cutter, man. If I don't even believe in myself, how am I going to sell somebody to believe in a product or a service I can do?
Yeah.
So you have to go through the transformation yourself, because that's what all entrepreneurship and business is about. It's about other people buying your belief about your product or service.
Where do you reach the end of the line as a cutter to where I got to change? I got to get help. What do you do? Like,
oh man, I'll tell you what. You
don't amputate your arm or something like that. What?
Yeah, I'll tell you what happened.
Where is the ultimate on that? This is ridiculous. I got to stop.
It was failing a seminary class, and here's what I mean. I was acing all my classes, and I met my wife in. She was doing a master's in counseling. I was doing a master's of counseling in divinity. We met, fell in love. I started to confide in her, but guess what? I'm in class, and you're supposed to practice counseling on real people, and they watch videos. And so the professor said, Kary, anytime you counsel somebody and they talk about pain, you emotionally run away. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, listen, if you don't fix that, you might fail the class. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, give me the books, give me the test, I'll ace everything.
Yeah.
So they kept pushing me. And finally I said, fine, I'm going to go in and I'm going to tell the professor that I struggle with cutting.
Yeah.
So I thought this was my breakthrough. I'm going to go in and be honest for the first time in my life. This is the crazy story, Larry. You ready? This is crazy story, man. I go in and I tell the professor, listen, I struggle with cutting and anger. And he listened. And then 2 days later, I get a letter in my mailbox that says, you're a cutter. You failed the class. You're not fit to be a counselor. And this is, and again, this is supposed to be a Christian place that helps. So I went to my mentor, who is the vice president of the whole school. And he was kind of my mentor, and great man, Dr. Dave Plaster. And he said, give me that form. And then he went, and he said, that professor can't fail you. You go to counseling. We're going to get that grade fixed. Well, guess what, Larry? And again, I'm not bitter, but it turns out that professor was having sex with a student in the class, going through his own pain and hypocrisy. And here's where I go with all this, Larry. The moment we have a breakthrough, the enemy goes after us.
Yeah.
And right there, I could have like gone down a very dark path and said, screw it, screw life, I'm done. Thankfully, that mentor stood up for me. Yeah. And that was my breakthrough. Yeah. That was my breakthrough. I went to the counselor. I started working on depression. I got on a little bit of medicine, but honestly, that wasn't what did it. And that was my breakthrough.
Well, the thing is that I want to say to people that go through this thing, when you go through that, you're at that point and you get the big put down. Keep your eyes up and look for there'll be someone around you. Usually God does not let you the death blow by yourself. And if you just keep your head and eyes up, there'll probably be someone around you to come around and say, forget that guy. He's that's ridiculous. You're this, that, the other. Nobody thinks that way. In fact, I had a friend.
Did you? Yeah.
In Aspen, actually. I just sent him I just saw a picture I took of him several years ago. I just sent it out to him. But I'm remembering he came to me and he said, he wanted to have dinner out there this March or something. And he said, his daughter, he split from his wife early, and then he wound up living in the house, and they lived at different parts of the house for years because he was there for the young daughter. She was like, and born late and all that. And the daughters loved him and he skied with him, do everything with him, and all kind of adventures all year long. They're like,
super tight.
Yeah, super tight. Well, she comes back from college and she says, Dad, I just want you to know everybody hates you.
What?
Everybody hates you. Mom hates you. Granddaddy hates you. Grandmother hated you before she died. This hates you. They all hate you. I don't know what her point was. He told me that. And I've got to catch myself when I don't say their names because they're such close friends. But it's like,
oh my gosh.
When he told me that, and I could see the fear on his face, I just burst out laughing. We were the lobby of the Little Nell. I just burst out laughing. And I actually fell on the floor in front of the fireplace. It was just convulsing.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And I said, got to keep myself from saying his name. I said, I said, that's the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. That girl loves you. I said, I don't know what kind of soup she swallowed back at school, or whatever. But I said, that's a passing phase. She just, that'll blow away. I said, I said, you're the one guy everybody loves.
Wow.
And I said, we all love, everybody respects you. I've never heard anything bad about you, And so, but it was like, you could see he wanted to, it like got him off the edge of like, my reaction was so overwhelming that it kind of
helped them. You helped her
out of that, but it was not manipulated. It was just spontaneous. Like, that's the most ridiculous thing of all people, but thank goodness, but he needed to hear that,
He did, because that could have been a very dark journey.
Yeah. Because his whole life has been, a lot of his self-image and everything is the relationship they have. And, But, I don't know the comedian, but there's a famous comedian we all know who came up through the New York club scene.
Okay.
And he finally got an audience in front of a guy who was a booker for, Johnny Carson or Jay Leno.
Sure. Yeah.
And he finally got an audience with that guy. And he went in and the booker said, he said, that's the worst set I've ever seen. He said, stop wasting your time on comedy now. You'll never be a comedian. And, he went down the checklist. You don't look like one. You this, that, the other. Your delivery's wrong. Everything stinks. You're not funny. Okay? Do something else. Don't make us have to listen to you try and be funny.
Oh, my gosh.
So this guy's destroyed, his whole life, is listen.
Yeah.
He goes to one of his friends. He goes back to one of his friends and said, I just got crushed, by one. He said, well, what did he say? He said, blah, 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 blah. He said, that guy said that. He said, of course he did, because he's an idiot. He said, nobody respects his opinion on anything. He said, that's actually a good sign that he didn't like it, That's probably an endorsement, He
reframed the reply. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so the thing is that these are things we can do for people in our life when the occasion comes.
That's good.
Not work. They don't cost us money, but it can be one of the most powerful things to happen in other people's lives. Yeah. And so it's a matter of just being aware of that. Now, when you, so you're in school.
Yeah.
And you actually moved through there and got a
pastor degree.
Pastorate.
Yeah.
And so how did that go?
I'll tell you what, I was in, get this, I was so young. They gave me my first small country church while I was in school.
Yeah.
So get this, Larry, I was preaching on Sunday and cutting on Monday. Is that crazy or what? Is that crazy? That's crazy. That's crazy. So I'll tell you what, I can tell really quickly in my coaching when someone's faking it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just pick it up because I lived it.
You lived it.
And I lived it. And thankfully, God allowed all that to happen. I went to counseling, got help. And then I moved from Indiana to Ohio, joined a suburban church that was big. And I was the youth pastor and blah, blah, blah. And finally, years later, when that's that book, Your Secret Name, that's the book where I wrote the scary stuff in it. And I came out with this book, and the whole book, honestly, is about you shedding the names that are holding you back and you getting the new name. And I'll tell you
What's an example of that? What's an example of that? Shedding old names that are holding you back.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you a movie example, and then I'll tell you a real life example. Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings, Aragorn believes the name Strider, and that's where we meet him at, I believe it's called the Prancing Pony or something like that in the Lord of the Rings. But he's a wanderer. He's not embracing his full name, which is eventually to be the king.
Yeah.
Lion King, same thing. I'll tell you the quick story. Child of the king, heir to the throne, king of the jungle. What does he do? He listens to the liar, Scar.
Yeah.
And so this is our story as all humans. We can listen to the truth or the lie. He listens to the liar. He goes into places he shouldn't go. The elephant graveyard. His dad goes to save him, dies in the process. Suddenly Scar comes and says, you're not king. You're a murderer. You're banished. You're a failure. He believes the lies. So what does he do? He goes and lives Hakuna Matata. Don't worry, be happy. A life of purposelessness.
Yeah.
Along comes Rafiki, says, I know your dad. He's like, my dad's dead. Nope, I'll show you. Takes him into the jungle, says, look into the pond. He looks into the pond with disgust. All he sees is his I call it your given names, your birth names.
Uh-huh.
He says, no, look deeper. He sees his father. His father says, check this out. You are more than who you've become. And then he says, become who you're born to be.
Yeah.
And that's the story of the transformation. So what is my thing? My past names are, I got to get something here for you. This is cool. This is cool, Larry. I'll explain this white stone in a moment. Okay. My false names were Cutter. And by the way, the names can be good. Athlete. Well, what happens when you get injured? You lose your identity.
Yeah.
Beautiful. What happens when you're a burn victim? You lose your identity. So it's not that the names are always bad, but the names are not who you truly are.
Right.
So I had to go through my own journey. And
basically, they get either false or limiting.
False or limiting.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so good. So I'm reading my scripture someday, and I look and I see in the scriptures, it's in the book of Revelation. It says, to the one who overcomes will be given a new name written on a white stone, and no one knows the name except the one who receives it. I'm like, dang, that's a secret name. And I'm like, what is that about? So I do a little bit of research, and in the first century, in a court of law, they would vote, the jury, and this had nothing to do with skin color. But if they felt like you were guilty, they would vote with a dark stone. This is where we get the term blackball.
Yeah.
So what the scriptures were saying is that the one who gets the new name is accepted innocent. And check this out. That somebody did this for me. Don't worry, this didn't show up like this. Here's my secret name.
Yeah.
Free.
Free.
So my secret name is the word free. And that's what I've always wanted to be. That's who that whenever I watch a movie like Dances with Wolves and he's going on the horse and he's holding his hands back, like every movie clip or every book or every song where someone was truly free, it speaks to me.
Yeah.
That's who I am today. I'm free.
Thanks for listening to the Million Dollar Mastermind. If you felt there were any valuable takeaways from this episode, please take a minute and leave us a 5-star review. Your feedback is important and really helps us get the word out to a wider audience. Remember, we have a valuable webinar that is absolutely free. Register for it right now at weidelonwinning.com. Thanks for listening.